Today, the Live Free and Ham show you never knew you wanted. So don't go anywhere. Next on Live Free and Ham, vacations. Hello, and welcome to the Live Free and Ham podcast. This is our bi-weekly show, which we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. Whether you're a regular listener or a first-time guest, we're excited to have you here, and we appreciate your support. So thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Let's get into today's show. Today, I'm your host, Paul, callsign N1OG, and I'm with co-host
Todd, W1STJ.
Good to see you, Todd.
Yeah, you
hey,
too,
Before we get into our topic, there's a few things that we got to catch up on. So in case you haven't been there, our storefront is livefreeandham.com/shop, and you can head over and check out all the cool merch. I'm sans hat this evening, but everybody knows that the best hat out there is the FlexFit Multicam. I want to thank everybody that's purchased from the store. Todd recently purchased the hat, and so awesome. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, I ordered it. They sent me the wrong one, and they were gracious enough to send me another one right away. So the right hat. So good deal. It's a great fitting hat, too. Fits me well.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Hey everybody, we got some news.
Slow down, Boog. Let me handle this. We've got some news. I've got bad news and bad news.
I have reviewed ship's personnel, Captain.
Congratulations, you've got mail.
Hey, I would just want to thank everybody that supports the show. We do love your feedback. And if you don't know, you can send us a review via SMS texting. So if you're not on the Apple Podcasts, you can click the link to SMS text us your review. Recently, Kilo Bravo 1 Zulu Tango X-Ray says, just saying hello from Laconia. Started listening to you guys earlier this year. I'm currently working on my extra license and hope to test this fall. I belong to the Central New Hampshire Amateur Radio Club. However, they are going through some changes with the new board, so not much to report as far as club activity. But the show is great, by the way. I enjoy listening to the podcast. So thank you very much for the review, and we appreciate everybody that gives a listen and a review, and we're more than happy to read those reviews on air.
Yeah, I want to make a quick shout out to a new ham that I met at our club meeting, Keith Chopler. His call sign is AC1RH. He actually, it was pretty funny. He talked to one of our members on a repeater, not our repeater for our club, but another one. And he was talking about POTA, and he showed up, and Ralph told me hey, this guy Keith's going to come up. He wants to talk to you about POTA. And I'm like, oh, yeah, great. So I introduced myself to him. I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden he goes, hey, do you do a podcast? He goes, Live Free and Ham, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I can't believe it's you. He goes, I recognize your voice. He goes, I was listening to it on the way here to the meeting.
That's great.
Oh, he had no idea like who I was or whatever, but he recognized my voice. So he's a listener. So thank you for listening, Keith. And I'm looking to do some POTA work with you in the near future. So I just thought it was kind of funny that he recognized my voice. I guess he's not watching it on YouTube, but he listens to it in the car when he's driving. So that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're listed on every podcast platform as well as the YouTubes. So you can find us wherever you prefer to listen. Moving on to the next segment. In each episode, we try and showcase some of the good that clubs are trying to do in the hobby. And we're asking you, the listener.
Doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
You do. That's good.
Do good? Do good?
You're doing good.
Absolutely, I do. Good.
Doing good, Bob. Doing real good.
Right now, my only outlet is my ham radio.
On tonight's show, we want to give a big shout out to W5TMP and GLARG, the Greater Los Angeles Area Radio Group, which held a military testing session recently. 18 soldiers took the Element 2 exam, 14 passed, and also one passed the element 3 and got his general. So congrats to all the new military hams.
Nice.
Todd, did you get anything from any clubs doing good?
No, I didn't. I haven't checked today, but I didn't see anything. Did you see
All right.
something else on there?
No, that was all I saw. But if you belong to a club that promotes the ham radio hobby and does something good in the community, we want to hear about it. We hope to showcase some of the good that in each episode and give props to the clubs that are out there doing it. So if you're in a club, email us at livefreeandham@gmail.com and let us know how your club is doing good for the hobby. All right, moving on. This is the part of the show where we help Todd study for his extra.
And now for something a little extra with Todd W1STJ.
All right. Before we start this, I want to know how many did Eric get right on the last podcast?
Eric was 2 for 3.
Okay. Just for the record, I was 3 for 3 last week, or last time I was on. So let's try this one up.
All right. In each episode, we use 3 random questions from the extra class question pool to test Todd's knowledge and to better prepare him for his upgrade. If you'd like to study for your own upgrader license, you can head over to hamstudy.org, which is a great resource to help you prepare for your test and is highly recommended by this volunteer examiner. Without any further delay, I will begin my VE Quizmaster duties. All right, Todd. So question number 1 from sub-element number 1 of the extra exam question pool. Which UHF amateur bands have frequencies that are authorized for space stations? Is it A, 70 centimeters only? B, 70 centimeters and 33 centimeters? C, 33 centimeters and 13 centimeters? Or is it D, 70 centimeters and 13 centimeters?
I'm going to go with B.
B is not the correct answer. The correct answer is D, 70 centimeters and 13 centimeters.
I knew it was one of those two. Just one. Not my lucky day.
Hey, that's all right. Question number 2. Which of the following amateur stations may transmit one-way communications? Is it A, message forwarding station or automatically controlled digital station? B, all of these choices are correct. C, a local repeater or linked repeater station. Or D, a space station, beacon station, or telecommand station.
I want to say B. I'm going to go. Should go with my gut instinct, but I'm going to go with D.
Right, yes.
Right,
Because D is the correct answer.
Right.
The only amateur radio stations that can transmit one-way communications are space stations, beacon, or telecommand stations. So you go, hey, you're 50% now.
Yeah.
All right. For the third and final question, amateur stations may not transmit in which of the following frequency segments if they are located in the contiguous 48 states and north of line A? Is it A, 440 megahertz to 450 megahertz? B, 53 megahertz to 54 megahertz? C, 420 megahertz to 430 megahertz? Or D, 222 megahertz to 223 megahertz?
All right. I'm going to say it's either A or C. I don't know. They always tell me to pick C. I'll go with C.
And C is correct. Yes.
Nice.
420 to 430 megahertz if you are north of line A. Well, hey. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I thought you were gonna forget that one. I was like, I should just get this one wrong so I don't have to hear that song.
Oh, I could never forget. I literally put that in the stream deck just for you.
Right. Thanks. All right. So it's 3 for 3 last time, 2 for 3. I'm doing all right.
You're definitely you're doing well. And so if you're on the journey and you're studying for your technician, general, or extra class license, hamstudy.org is an excellent resource for getting your ticket. If you've recently received your license or you've upgraded, we want to hear about it. We want to recognize you on our next episode. All you got to do is send us an email, livefreeandham@gmail.com, and we will be sure to mention you on our next episode. So, Todd, in the usual format, how was your ham radio week?
Pretty uneventful, to be honest with you. I was gonna go out one day, but something came up and I wasn't able to go out. Been dying to do a pod. I did go to the club meeting on Friday, so that was, I guess, ham radio related. I had a talk on digital modes, which was somewhat interesting, and I learned a little bit. But that's about it. I haven't really pulled the radio out. I know I have to charge my battery for my POTA stuff, and I'm hoping to get out this week for sure.
Well, I'm there with you. So I attended the club meeting via Zoom. It was a great talk by outgoing club president. Great topic of digital modes. Of course, it's nothing that we're not used to at this point, but there's a lot of new hams that don't have an understanding of all the digital modes that are out there and the things that we could do. So I really didn't get to play a lot of radio per se, but I did manage to get the special event station for the Navajo Code Talkers earlier today, and well, it wasn't easy.
You had to be an
Band
extra.
conditions.
You had to be an extra, right? It was in the extra portion.
So initially the station was in the extra portion, but then they did move up into the general portion. So they were,
Okay.
they were there.
Cool.
But yeah, very cool. And
How
that
long
was
did
about it.
how long did it take you to get them?
Oh, easily 20 minutes, just because I would hear him really well, and then a QSB would come and he'd just be way down in the noise,
Yeah.
and then he'd come back up, and I'd be like, okay, now I can get him. And
And
no,
they fade away.
he couldn't hear me, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. That's the way the bands have been lately. At least that's my experience. Is like they come in real clear and then they disappear on you and they come back. So I know when I was doing one of my pod activations recently, it was weird because I get a guy like 5'9", then I wouldn't hear him again, and then he'd pop back up and he'd disappear. And it would take us like 5-6 minutes just to get the content complete, just because he was in and out. So I guess that's just
Yeah.
the way the bands are rolling these days.
Well, so if you've been watching the space weather and all that, we had like 3 G1s, come right in a row. We're currently in an R1 blackout, and then it looks like we got a G1 coming tomorrow and a G2 the day after. So the sun
So
is cranking.
yeah, so maybe the end of the week would be a good time to get out there, do an activation.
Well, you just know that you're going to have to deal with a little bit of atmospheric
Yeah.
noise,
No, I hear you. No, I mean, look at since we had that big storm a couple months ago on my stupid app that says what bands are good or not. It said for the last every day 20 and 40 all day long poor. I haven't seen anything but poor, and it's not always the case because I've worked 20 meters and it's actually been pretty good. And my app said poor, so I don't really rely on that app anymore. So maybe I'll just go to you and ask you how the band's doing. You seem to know more than the app does.
Well, so this is where I'll tell you, I absolutely love having the ham clock. Because I've got all the data and it's constantly updating. I mean, the K index updates I think every 3 or 4 hours, but Um, anytime that there's a solar flare coming, it updates, and you know.
Yeah.
But
That's
the propagation app, just to point out, that is primarily a skywave propagation prediction, right? So it's not taking into account ground wave. And when we go to parks, that's typically what we're dealing with. So
right.
that's where, it might be absolutely horrible conditions for skywave, but ground wave works well enough that we can make it happen.
Yeah. Very good.
Sweet. All right. Well, I guess with that, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. a,
Is that
a, a little a
a
little
little,
nod to the beginning.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, when we were coming up with the name for our podcast, what was it going to be?
Ham
Ham
and potatoes.
Ham and Potatoes podcast. And I forget, was it you who said it, or maybe Ryan said, he goes, yeah, that is not going to go well. So we came up with Live Free and Ham, which I think goes a long way. But back to our very beginning, thinking about starting this podcast and doing it. That's what we started. That's what Eric came up with. And he had a logo and everything for it. I think he was a little heartbroken when Ryan was like, yeah, we can't do that one.
Yeah, it was so obviously that was before I joined, but all the past episodes are saved in our library on here. And so I went through and I watched the first one, and it was called Ham and Potatoes.
Oh, it
And
was?
yeah. But you guys did a great job. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just interesting to see, the ham and potatoes versus now it's Live Free and Ham, and of course I love Live Free and Ham.
Yeah. No, I think it's a much better, a much better name for a podcast, and starting to get out there. And then we have websites of, it seems like Eric keeps buying up domains for everything we talk about. I think, what does he have? What's the next one? Carlos,
Just for men like Carlos.
just from Carlos.com, and those guys up north.com from Izzo. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you say something, you get on our podcast, or you call in and make some kind of unique thing, you might see we might get a domain name that will go right to our podcast by the end of the
You
year. We'll
you
see
just
how many
never
we'll have.
know. You never know what Eric might impulse buy.
Right, exactly.
All right. So getting into the meat and potatoes of the show. This evening, I figured since it's just the two of us, given the fact that we're at another height of prime vacation time, as people are trying to get in their vacations before school start.
Yeah.
What do you take with you when you go on vacation? Do you plan to play radio, or do you say, you know what, it's vacation, I'm going to take a break from radio as well?
Me? No.
Yeah.
I bring my since I got in the
I mean,
POTA.
Eric's not here to give me an answer, so
Yeah, so I guess it's just me. So vacations. Since I got into POTA, and I really got into POTA and I really liked it, and I got my backpack and my gear all in a backpack, I bring it with me everywhere, because you never know when you just might have the time to do a park. It's with me at work. Sometimes I have to travel. If I got a lunch break, I'm near a park, I'm driving back, I'll take my lunch break and go activate a park instead of eat lunch. Um, but on vacations, I kind of plan my vacations, and then whatever we're doing, I look to see, okay, what parks can I get while I'm there? And when I'm on vacation with the family, they a lot of times don't want to get up crack of dawn and start doing stuff. So I get up real early, get out and do a real early morning activation. So when I went down to North Carolina in June, we were in Virginia for one night. We stayed overnight just south of Richmond, and I saw a park about 15, probably 15 minutes away. Did a little research on it. I said, okay, I'm going to activate this thing. I got up at like 6 in the morning. They were still sleeping, and stole the car, I guess, because we only had one. They were kind of stuck there, and
you just left them at the hotel.
and did the activation. So that was kind of cool. And then when I was in North Carolina, there was a park that I was able to do. There wasn't too many that I could get to because I needed a boat, because we were right on the coast, and there's a couple like on islands, and I didn't have a boat. And it was not. I don't think I could have swam over with my gear over my head, keeping it dry. So there was one park. It was nice. It was 7 miles. It was a wildlife refuge. And I got up every morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning because it was so hot. At that week that we were down there, it was like 100 degrees every day. It was ridiculous. And I'd get up early and activate that park. And so I did that. And then on the way home, we stopped at my uncle's house in Maryland. And there's a nice park that I always wanted to do, but had never had the chance to do it for whatever reason. And the day we were coming home, I again got up early, left the fam, and cruised out to a park for a couple hours and activated that one. So I bring it with me. I'm going to St. John in November, and I am definitely bringing my POTA gear because 3/4 of that island is the park. So every beach on that island, there's basically it's a 9 square mile. I think it's only 9 square miles, but it is all park. So it's the St. John National Park. It was donated by one of the Rockefellers, and it's one of the reasons I love that island so much is because it's just so natural. There's basically two towns. There's Coral Bay and Cruz Bay, and they're on either ends of the island, and everything in between is pretty much a national park. So I'm going to be activating down there the week before Thanksgiving. So that should be fun, and you guys should try to work me because it's not a very active park. I don't think a lot of people bring ham radio gear down there. There's not too many people that have activated it, but I plan on activating this every day that I'm down there, at least every morning, and maybe in the evening too. Maybe I'll do a late shift.
Well, so you heard it here first. Throw W1STJ in your ham alerts and get ready for that St. John
Yeah,
activation.
yeah, especially in November. It's the week before Thanksgiving. I'll be down there. So yeah, and I did last time I was there a couple years ago. I didn't have my. I don't think I had my. I don't did I. I don't think I had all my POTA gear, and I just brought my HT with a Ed Fong antenna and tried to work some local repeaters. Down. I hit St. Croix. I want to say St. Croix is maybe 30 miles, 40 miles away. St. Thomas, and I could hear Puerto Rico too. So a lot of cool, a lot of cool things just using an Ed Fong, and it was just I just clipped it up to the top of the gutter of the condo I was staying. And
Now, is yours in a PVC tube or no?
well, I have two. So I have one that is in a tube, and then the other one is just like a mobile one. So it's just all
Roll
wrapped
up.
up.
Yep.
And I just hung it out and stuck it to my HT, and I pre-programmed it with local repeaters like within the area and see what I could hear. And it was mainly listening just to see what I got, but I made a couple contacts out there on repeaters. But this time I'm bringing the HF gear, and it's going to be fun.
Nice. So when you plan your vacations, do you typically plan on at least, some aspect of radio as part of the vacation?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say I do it more like the vacation's not planned around ham radio. It's more of how can I get ham radio to work within my vacation because I'm the only one in the family that does it. So it's really hard to get the family, hey, let's go do some ham radio. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. But I did go down to the Cape. Wasn't I'm going to the Cape the end of August and for a week. And I didn't go last year, but we went the year before. And the year before, I did activate. There's a Cape Cod Rail Trail, which is a park. So I did activate that, and I did set up my HF stuff on the deck, just to kind of listen and play a little bit of radio, see what was going on. And so that was pretty cool because I figured I'm right on the Cape, right on the ocean. I mean, we were probably like I don't know a mile walk to the ocean. Um, so that was cool. But I also brought about 3 or 4 years ago. When I first got my Ed Fong antenna, I had brought that with the pole, with the PVC pipe, and then I put it on a tripod and I had my HT. And this was before I was a general. So this was like when I was just starting. And I worked a repeater on 5 watts, like super strong, 60 miles away. So I was in West Dennis, and I'm not sure where they were, like in Rhode Island or something. And the guy couldn't believe it. He's like, he goes, you're full of it. I said, I'm telling you. I said, I'm sitting here on the backyard at a picnic table. And I got this Ed Fong antenna hooked up to my, my HT. I'm pushing 5 watts. And yeah, you're coming in great. I was like amazed. but it was pretty cool because I also, where West Dennis is. Dennis is a town. It's kind of like in the center of the Cape before you get to the Chatham, which is the hook. If you guys aren't from New England, and Chatham or Dennis goes all the way across to the bay and then to the ocean side. So we're on the ocean side, and to me, it's the better side. There's no sharks there, and it's warmer. It's the bay is actually colder, probably 10 degrees colder than the ocean side when we go. Because I've
No
gone over
kidding.
to the ocean side, it's like 66, and I go over to the ocean side, it's like 76. I mean, huge difference. But I have this little shark app because everyone knows that there's a lot of sharks at the Cape, and they basically start at Chatham and they go all the way around to Provincetown, and they're inside and outside. For the last 5, 6 years since I've had this app, I haven't seen one shark sighting on our beach, so I'm pretty confident that they like to hang out where the seals are, and there's no seals on our side. Um, so yeah, so it's cool. I just work the ham radio around my my vacation, and if I can get it in, I try to get it in. And like I said, it's normally like it's always secondary, at least when I'm on vacation, but it's a priority for me, so I make sure I get at least one activation in. So I'll do a few ham radio stuff in a couple weeks when I go down there. Definitely bring in my gear. I think I might bring my DX10 and set it up at the house, and then bring the then the 891 I'll bring to the parks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, so for me, I don't get to do a lot of ham radio specific vacations like the ham tubers that all just went to Yellowstone. Super envious of that
Yeah.
trip. But so we're going on vacation starting next Friday, and we get my in-laws get a lake house, up in Center Barnstead, New Hampshire, and it's right on Upper Lower Suncook Lakes. So the primary focus of the vacation is fishing. Really, it's just a lot of fishing. But I always bring my radio because I like to play radio, and there's a little picnic table down by the water, and so I like to just bring my stuff, and I'll probably bring the Wolf River coil this time. I like the Reliance end-fed halfway bug out mini. I love that antenna, but there's not a lot of really good trees to put it in, so I'll probably bring the Wolf River coil and set that up on the hill and just play radio from the picnic table. It's not a park or anything, but it's still fun just to play radio.
Well, speaking of fishing, so my son Zach has gotten into fishing this summer pretty heavily. He's got a couple rods. He's mastered the bait caster. For those of you who don't know how to fish, it's like that is you either know how to do it or you quit fishing because it'll bird
And
nest on you.
and once you master it, you will never want to go back.
Right. Yep. And he is all over that, and he's been catching fish. And so the rail trail is where Eric and I are working on our kilo, and there's a pond there. So I can get him to, hey, you want to go fishing? And he'll go fishing. I'll activate the park, and then I'll finish off with fishing with him. But it
There's
gave
fish
me
in that little pond.
oh yeah, there's a lot of bass in there. Oh yeah. Really, there's a ton of sunfish, but there's bass in there.
No
So
kidding. Yeah, because
yeah.
that's a really small pond.
Yeah, it's not very big, but there's I don't know, there's probably like 1 to 2 pounders in there, on the bigger as the bigger size of them. But there's a lot. There's tons of like turtles. There's everything in that. That thing is just like a mush of everything. But it's cool because he can go around. I can see him. He can go around the whole pond, and I can see what he's doing. He's only 11, so and if he needs help or whatever, I can help him. So it gave me an idea. I'm like, all right, he wants to go fishing every day, and I like fishing, but I'm not an everyday fisherman. Like he wants to go morning, noon, and night, and it's taken up a lot of my summer going fishing. So then I started looking on the POTA map. I'm like, I go, where are there parks that have fishing locations? And sure enough, I found a couple parks that are right on lakes or ponds that are
Yep.
actually like state forests and stuff. And I said, there's one in Wilton that I haven't done. I think it's called Russell.
Botanipo.
Yeah. Have you activated that one?
So I haven't activated it, but I've fished Potanapo a lot.
Yeah.
And
Is it is it
from
is it
the
at, is it Russell Abbott State Forest, I think is it called?
oh
Is that the
no,
name?
no, Russell Abbott. That's the park that I'm trying to get the kilo in. That's in
Oh, you
yeah,
Milton.
that's in no, Milton.
Milton? Is it
Or
near
yeah, maybe it's
Wilton?
Wilton. Maybe it's
Yeah, I know.
Wilton.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of it's not that far from here, but I saw that pond, that lake or pond or whatever it is, and it's right in the middle of the forest. I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, Zach, we're gonna go fishing there, and I'm gonna activate a park. so, so
Well,
that's my
you keep saying that you're going to go to that park with me, and I'm happy to take you, and I'll show you exactly where I set up, which is kind of on an upper level, but
right.
you're right at the lake. A lot of people will park where I park
Is
to
it
play radio, and they'll
is
put
that the one in
kayaks in.
Milford? Is that the Milford one?
Yeah, so it's just the outside of Milford, but
Okay.
yeah, you gotta
Oh,
go
so
through
that
Milford and take a lot of dirt roads to get out there, but
right.
yeah, it's
Oh, well,
beautiful.
yeah. I want to go out. We should do that this week. We really like. I haven't done POTA, so let me look at the
Let's do it.
schedule. Yeah, definitely. Because I want to go there. That'd be another one I could take him to, and he can go fishing while I play radio. And then this other one, like I said, Russell Abbott State Forest, I think it is. There's a lake or a pond there, and
Well, that's
I
what we were
looked.
just talking about, but I think
Oh,
you
is
meant
it
Potanapo.
or Botanical? Yeah. Which
Yeah,
one? Which one of you is the one that you keep telling me to go? Is that the Russell Abbott
that's
one?
Russell Abbott. Yep,
Oh, okay. That's the one I saw then. Okay, cool. So
yep,
maybe
and
I'll bring.
it's a beautiful little body of water, but
Okay, good fishing there.
couldn't know. I don't know.
Oh, you
Never
didn't fish
fished it.
there. Okay. And where's
No,
this
but
botanical one you're talking about?
so Potanapo is that's Brookline.
Okay.
Um, and so when you pull in to where the boat launch is, there's a fence and there's a play area and a
Oh yeah,
beach.
I've worked that park before.
And so yeah, so the beach is the park.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you could set up right there. There's picnic tables and everything, and the boy can fish. There's an old ice house, like so back in like the 1900s when they used to collect the ice from the lake in the winter.
Yeah.
They still have the rails that go out into the water,
Oh
and
really?
yeah, it's really cool, dude. There's tons of fish that hang around those submerged rails where they used to transport the ice.
Oh wow.
But yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Oh cool. Yeah. I activated that. I was going to pick up someone from the airport and I had like I don't know a couple hours to kill. So I went out there and activated that. And it was in the summer, but it was after like everyone had left because the place is crazy like during the day in the summer, like at that beach. I mean, it's like the town, it's like Brookline's town swimming hole, right? I would
Yep,
assume. So
yep.
it's pretty crowded. So I didn't want to go there when there's like 1,000 people there, but it was nice. There was no one there. It was beautiful. The sun was setting, and I kind of got into activating. I looked at my watch. I'm like, oh shit, I almost was late. I was almost late picking up my parents at the airport. I go, that would have been good. So, but
Sorry, I
yeah,
got tied up playing radio. That's why I'm late.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's so yeah, vacations. I every time I go on vacation, I see if it's something that I can if I can get radio into, and I'll bring my if I can bring my gear. I mean, it's if I couldn't, I mean, like flying. You can bring one carry on, one personal item. Well, my radio is my personal item in my backpack, so it works. And if I
There you go.
drive, I can bring more. It's not a big deal. It doesn't take up too much space, and yeah.
I don't think that I've flown anywhere in almost 10 years. Like
Oh,
it's
really?
been a good long while. Yeah, I hate flying.
You do?
I oh, I hate it. Hate it with a passion. Let me load up my truck and drive. I will drive anywhere in the country. I hate flying.
Well, I like I don't mind flying at all. I mean, I'm actually fascinated. That's one of my other passions is flying. I fly the RC stuff. I wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid. Took
That's
some fl-
different than flying commercial.
Yeah, I know. Commercials suck. I mean, it can just be. But with my job, when I had to go down south and do stuff, you start to get to know the ins and outs. And like I learned when I'm on those little sardine cans. I think this was the C 900s, those little American airline planes are like they're long and skinny. They look like long Learjets. Well,
Yeah,
they
you
have
got two
like
two rows on one side and one row on the other.
yeah. So I learned
Yeah.
always get the one seat because that's you got actually more room. But then you can't put your carry-on bag in that plane because it's so small. So you check it at the door of the plane and then they put it under and then they bring it back. So I always sit on the left side because that's where the doors are, and I would just sit there and wait. And everyone's rushing to get off, and I'd wait until I saw my bag come out, and then I'd go out there and I'd be sitting there, I'd grab it. Meanwhile, everyone's like on that tramway, like sitting there waiting in line to get their bags. I'm like, this is how you do it. You learn from experience. So I kind of mastered that, and then I figured out how to get into the American airline club. What I don't know what it is like for
Ooh.
the. So I got stuck there one night. It was like 2 in the morning, and it was a terrible trip. The thing was delayed, and the plane needed some repair. Then the guy forgot to sign the paperwork, and we were ready to take off. We were like on the runway. We had to come back, and then we got back there. The maintenance guy wasn't there, and then we waited like an hour, and then the pilot ran out of time, and then they had no more pilots, so we weren't going to leave until 7 in the morning. So now it's like
Wow.
I was supposed to leave at like I was supposed to leave at 4. It's now 1 in the morning, and by 2 in the morning, they all left. They left people without hotels. They just picked up in like a long line, just left. Charlotte's a huge airport, so I walked around. I looked it up, and I said, "Oh, here's the American lounge. It's got to be. Wonder if it's open." So I mean, literally, there's no one in the airport. It's crazy. Like just us that were there. There's like 3 American flights that got screwed, and we were just sitting there, and like a lot of people went to hotels and stuff. So I walked around. I went in. The door was open. They got these like nice couches, lounge. So I'm like, dude, this is like better than the hotel. So I crashed there for a night.
There you go.
So yeah, you learn that if you're flying single, alone, you can. It doesn't have to be that bad as long as you don't bring a lot of stuff. Uh, but yeah, it is a pain. I mean, I'm almost convinced that you know, like people like flying out of Manchester, which is our local airport, even though it costs more, is better to have the layover and fly out of Manchester than it is to go down to Logan. But the problem is a lot of people don't like layovers. Oh, it takes so much more time. I mean, driving to Logan, getting parking, driving back, it's going to probably take you just as much time than if you have a layover.
Yeah.
So, but
And
yeah, it's
and I mean, I hate driving to Boston, so I
oh,
mean, going to and from Logan is probably like the least favorite
yeah.
thing that I ever had.
Well, there is a park right at the end of the runway. If you're heading out towards the Revere, there's a park. It's a nice park. It's literally you can see the planes taking off. It's right at the end of the runway, and there's like the water, and then it's like the park. And the only negative thing about it is there's a train track right behind it, and if you're activating like at the picnic tables, that train goes by, you can't hear nothing. It's like it's like you need the headphones.
Stand by one, we got a train.
It's pretty much the way it is. So I've done that before. I've gone out there like, oh, I gotta go pick someone up, so I'll go early and and go activate the park. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And then if you go there like at night, like at dusk, it's kind of cool watching the planes take off with the lights and stuff if they're using that runway. And I'm not sure what runway it is, but and then I was there one time. The last time I did it, it was all set up, and I had activated the park, but bands were pretty good. And the guy came up to me and goes, "You got to leave. We're shutting down." And like they were literally going to put a gate across, like he couldn't get out of it. So I'm like, "All right, I'm coming." I just threw everything in the car, drove outside the gate, and then repacked everything.
Wow,
So
so they were just gonna lock you in.
yeah, the guy's like, "You got to get out of here. We're locking up." It was like one guy. It's like his job. Like he's probably like, "I want to get home." Like, get the hell out of here. What are you doing?
These freaking idiots talking to aliens. Get
Yeah.
out of the park.
Well, but see, I guess talking about like just being creative. I mean, it's either I can go early, I can activate a park. I'm literally 5 minutes from the terminal, or I can sit in a cell phone lot and do nothing. So I try to get creative when I have to go do something, pick someone up, and even on vacations. Like, what are people? If I get up at 6 in the morning, no one else is going to be ready to go until like 9 or 10. So what am I
At
going to do for
least.
3 hours? Right, exactly. So what am I going to do? I could go out, activate the park, be done before they're even like up and showered or ready to go. And I've already
Hey,
got a
back in time for breakfast.
yeah, exactly. And I get some peace and quiet and get some. I think going to St. John's going to be good. I think I'm going to get a lot of contacts. I think people are going to be like, "Holy crap! Like this guy's activating." I mean, who gets St. John,
Well,
right? I mean,
and I would imagine, you know, the scenery is just going to be absolutely
oh,
beautiful.
oh, it
So,
is. It is absolutely the most beautiful place I've ever been. I mean, you can't. The thing with St. John is like you go to all the other Caribbean islands, it's all resort. There's no hotels on the island. I have a timeshare. It used to be a hotel. They've converted it all into condos and timeshares. And it's two little towns. And then pretty much everything else, it's all natural. Hiking trails, um, there's old like sugar mill ruins, and then the beaches. And the beaches, even though popular ones are beautiful, but they're like touristy kind of things, but there's so many of them that you can go find your own beach. Like literally find your own, just drive down a dirt road, and all of a sudden there's a beach and you're there by yourself all day long. You know, just little bay or a little inlet. So it's an amazing place. And it's very low key. They live on island time. So like sometimes you go to a store, it'll just be closed and be back later. We'll be on the thing. It's like middle of the day. Like, what do you mean be back later? Restaurants, they're open for dinner. Sometimes they open at 6, sometimes they don't. It's like hit or miss, see if they're open or not. So it's kind of it's very laid back and not a lot of crime, and a lot of locals are very friendly, and they're good to the tourists. They like to hang out and talk.
so what I'm hearing though is, come like the first week of December, there's going to be a really great video on your time in St. John's on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, and on Eric's probably.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna be videoing a lot of stuff because I've got the video stuff now, and I've got a lot of raw material of St. John. But it is. I think if I do one, I think, and you see me acting, I think people will be like, wow, this is a place, like a destination place to do even a ham radio, vacation. And speaking of vacations, I've convinced my wife that when we retire, we're getting a van and we're cruising. And I
oh,
told her, I
like a
said,
sprinter?
yep. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm first thing I retire, that's what I'm buying. And I said, we're gonna go, and whenever I feel like going on a trip, we're just gonna go for a trip. And my goal is to hit all 50 states, activate all 50 states. I've only got 15 now, so I've got a ways to go. But she was like, does that mean we're going to Hawaii? I'm like, well, yeah, we're not gonna drive there, but yeah, we'll go to Hawaii and Alaska. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you could drive to Alaska.
yeah, you could drive to Alaska, but Hawaii,
You can't really drive to Hawaii.
yeah. But she was like, oh, all right. But like I said, I've seen a lot of the country. It's beautiful. You go out west. It's just like you said. I mean, the stuff that you can see, and I like to meet people and talk to locals, and just not do the so called touristy stuff, but do the local fun stuff to see and stuff. There's a in St. John. I was talking to a guy. I went to this bar, and I was the only white guy there. It was all the locals, and I sit down, and there's all the touristy, the vacation bars, and this is like it's like a wooden shack. It just says Heineken everywhere. That's all it says is Heineken. It must be sponsored by Heineken. So I sat down and I was talking to these guys, and the guy goes. He goes, have you hiked? Did you go up to the tower yet? And I said, no, I haven't. He goes, oh, it's right there. You go up that hill, and at the top, there's a tower you can see St. Croix, Puerto Rico on a clear day, all the British Virgin Islands. He goes, it's great. You got to go up there. He goes, no one knows about it. He goes, but the locals built a tower, like a platform tower up there. So I was like, oh, we're gonna definitely do that. So my wife and I, we got up at because it's so hot and humid there. Like you don't want to be hiking up a mountain. Yeah, and it's hilly. We got up there. We got up at like 5 in the morning to get out there, and we hiked it. And I'll tell you, by 6, we were probably up there. It took us about an hour to get up there. it looked like I had just jumped in the ocean. I was sweating so bad. It was so hot. And it wasn't even that hot. It was just so humid. But you get up there and there's it's like a wooden kind of fire tower platform, probably about, I don't know, 30, 40 feet above the tree. Like it goes above the trees so you can see everything at the top. And the view is just amazing. I mean, literally St. Croix, which is the other Virgin Island that's not that near to St. John. St. Thomas is like right across the little way. It's like a 10-minute ferry ride. And the British Virgin Islands kind of they're all in the same clump. But then you can see Puerto Rico, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, that's just awesome. So I wouldn't have
Now,
known that unless I talked to the local guy.
now that you've been there though, and you're going back,
Hmm.
is that the kind of place where you could bring your 891 and a wire antenna and throw the wire off the
Oh yeah.
side?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can look
because
at that's you can activate. That's why I'm so excited to go, because I'm gonna probably activate at least 5 to 7, probably five every day. If maybe 7 times, maybe five, whatever, at least. It's all going to be in different spots. It's all going to be the same park, and it's going to be like a whole new park because it's so, right on the beach. There's, I mean, you can go up to the top of the mountain. The hills are. You have to have 4-wheel drive there. I know it sounds crazy. Like, why do you need? You have to rent a Jeep. So I rent a Jeep on St. Thomas. I take the car ferry over, and you have to have 4-wheel drive because it's so steep, these roads, that if it rains, you can't get up them. You need the 4-wheel drive. It's crazy. And they drive on the left side, but your steering wheel's on the left side. So it's not like you're in England when the steering wheel's on the right and you drive on the left, right?
yeah,
So, so when you're driving around and if you go like through the island, you're going up and down these hills, and there's huge drops, and like there's no guardrails. Like you look and you're like, oh, look at this shit. Like if I slide off this, I'm dead. you know. And my wife she's like always gets nervous. She won't drive there. But I've driven it so many times that it's like I know my way around now. It's not very big, and like I said, I don't. It's an island that I've become very comfortable with because I just know what to do, where to do it, all the little ins and outs. Where to go, where the best places to go, the best places to eat, that kind of stuff. So
you've been there
makes
enough times.
yeah. I mean, I've probably been there 15, 20 times probably. So it's like I almost feel like it's my second home. The idea is when I retire, I have a possible to have a 1 bedroom for 3 weeks. So I have a 2 bedroom for a week and a 1 bedroom for a week, and I can combine them and make it a 1 bedroom for 3 weeks. If that makes any sense. So the plan is
Yeah, there you
retire
go.
right around like Thanksgiving time, maybe right after Thanksgiving, go down there for 3 weeks, and then come back and hopefully be living someplace warmer than up here in the winter.
Well, see, or you could do like my wife and I, right? We pulled our kid out of public school because public school was not doing well for him. But so now he's homeschooled,
Mhm.
and we go to Florida every year. Typically sometime like March, April. Um, but we were looking at prices for next year, and the cost difference from 2 weeks versus a month was so negligible. It was ridiculous. It was like for an extra $1,000 get 2 weeks. You
Right.
know, and so yeah, so next May we're we're going for a month, and we're just
So
gonna we're just
that's
gonna be
awesome.
down in Florida for a month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like living down there.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like when we're in St. John, it's a condo. We cook, we got food and grocery store. Like I said, once you have the Jeep, you're basically free reign. You can go wherever you want, whenever you want. So it's not like you're stuck with taxis and stuff. The first time I went there, I was like taxiing in and out of town. And then it's like, oh, like for $15, we'll take you to this beach. So the first time I was like, the beach is beautiful. And then someone's like, you got to rent a Jeep. And I rented the Jeep, and that was the end of it. I was like, yep, always renting a Jeep, going all. I mean, they've got a restaurant called the Lime Inn, and it's a nice, good restaurant. But then they opened up a second restaurant over on Coral Bay. So in Cruise Bay, there's Lime Inn. It's like a sit down restaurant, kind of nice. And then they've got the Lime Out, which is in the middle of Coral Bay. And when I mean in the middle, I mean it's literally floating in the water. And the only way to get to it is either by boat or swim out to it. And they sell tacos, and you sit in the water or in these like floating circle things. And if you sit on those, they have these little boats, like these little inflatable boats that they put your tacos on. They push them, it floats out to you, and they float across to you. And if you're sitting in the bar, like at the bar, like around the where they make the tacos and stuff, you're sitting like waist deep in water. So your seat is in the water and it's crystal clear, like it's the Caribbean. And they're huge fish because people are eating, dropping stuff, and I mean huge. And you see them, they're bumping into your legs and stuff. It's just awesome. And
A
it's
little
good
nibble
food.
on your toes.
Yeah, it's good food. It's a lot of fun. We rented a boat one time, and the captain showed us. He goes, "You got to go to Lyman. Let's go there for lunch." And he docks out. You jump out of the boat, you swim over, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, I know you had said that you vacationed in Virginia near the coast. I don't know specifically where, but the next time you're in Virginia, if you get a chance, um, it was definitely not a planned part of our vacation. It came during the drive, and I was like, "Hey, I'd really like to activate this park." But Chincoteague Island, you can drive to get there, so you don't have to swim. You don't need a boat. You can drive. But it's where all the wild horses are, and they're all
Oh,
on that
really?
island. What a beautiful, beautiful wildlife preserve, and they've got some really neat little parking lots that you can pull off, and you can set up right there in the parking lot, so you're not doing anything bad to the wildlife or the flora and fauna and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a really, really nice park if you want to check that one out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I like my nephew lives down in North Carolina, so I'm guessing we're gonna be driving down there again in the future. And I have an uncle who lives, and my cousins live in Maryland. I have another cousin that lives in Pennsylvania. So we have opportunities to go down there. At least to see family. So, and my best friend from high school, he lives in, I think it's called Newport News,
Yeah,
Virginia.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he had moved there. He used to live in Indiana. He moved there a couple years ago, so he's been bugging me to go down there. So I might have to take a trip down and see him.
Well, I'll tell you, while you're in Newport News, take this short trip over to Norfolk and check out the naval base because that is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Right. Yeah, I've heard.
No, so I still have base access for MWR and the PX and whatnot. And so yeah, we were down there probably 6, 7 years ago now, but I took my wife to the PX and she was amazed. Like she had never been to a military base PX post exchange, and it was literally like almost bigger than a full service Walmart as far
Yeah.
as size, right? 2 floors. There's a section that's all mattresses. There's a section that's all uniforms. There's a section that's all TVs and house stuff, and I mean literally anything and everything that you could ever want, all at discounted prices. It was fantastic.
Funny you said that because we went to the Red Sox game today, and we were driving down, and we were going through Hanscom, and my wife was telling Zach, oh, that's a military base, and that's where one of the coaches of his team works there. So Zach was asking all kinds of questions. So she was explaining like what a military base is, and she had a lot of friends growing up that were in the Marines and lived on military bases and stuff. So she was telling him. He goes, "That's awesome." He goes, "You can get stuff cheap there," and I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you get fishing gear?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can. You can get
Yeah, you
anything you
can.
want." I goes,
And
you never have to leave the base. It's all there for you.
Hansom's actually got a decent post exchange. So if you ever want to go, let me know and I'll take you down.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so back to vacations. I I love vacations. What I normally need is a vacation from my vacation. Like
Every single time.
every time, right? But
Every time.
yeah. But since I got into ham radio, it's definitely made it more exciting, and it kills off some of the time because I look forward to doing the new parks, and doing POTA. I know like a lot of people do it locally, but when you travel, especially if you're in a car or whatever, and you have access to kind of go off track a little bit, you go to places you may never have seen before. when I was working, I was down in Florida. I went to some beautiful parks, like just amazing. Like I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. Even in like Mississippi and Arkansas and Louisiana, I mean, just beautiful, like places I'd never really go, right? Like why would I go
Yeah, yeah.
here? But because you're looking for the
Because who
park,
really goes to Arkansas on purpose?
right? It's a good question. But you get to see some things, and like I've seen some cool parks, and even like locally, like, I've been to places like I never would have gone to or even heard of. But I think the Parks on the Air gets you out there and get you exploring. And if it's something cool, I'll walk through it. Like I said, I was in Florida once, and there's freaking alligators everywhere at this park. Like there were signs like "Be aware of alligators," like before you walk down the trail, kind of park. But they were everywhere. And when I did my first park in Mississippi, I got off the plane, I went right to the park, and I activated it, and I was like in the thing, and I was actually talking to a guy in Mississippi, and I'm looking at the lake, and I'm like, "What is it? Is that an alligator?" I'm like, "You guys have alligators here?" And he goes, "Well, hell yeah, we do." I'm like, "Holy shit." Like, and there's people like swimming in like across the way. There was like a campground, and these guys are like swimming with alligators. And then Eric, I had talked to Eric, and he's like, "Dude, just hang around for the." He goes, "Hang around for another hour. You can get the late shift in." And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I go, "It's getting dark here, and there's alligators everywhere." I'm like, I'm in this like swampy little inlet, like surrounded by marsh. I'm like, nope, not staying here.
Yeah, you could end up like Chubbs from Happy Gilmore with a wooden hand.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Well,
man.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one anyways that while the vacation is for everybody else, really, right? We do still find the time to have some fun for ourselves and play radio. And you're 100% right in if you're driving somewhere and you can stop on the byways and the off beaten path, you find some amazing places. The Savannah National Wildlife Refuge, which isn't in Savannah at all, but it spans Georgia and South Carolina, and it's such a huge park, and it's beautiful.
Right.
Definitely one of those places that had I not taken a detour specifically to go to that park,
Right.
I would have never seen it.
Right. I mean, it's like what you said. I mean, I don't mind flying places, but if I fly place, I got to get a vehicle because you can't just go to a resort or whatever. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, you could go to the resort and just stay at the resort and do nothing. But I think you miss out on a lot of other things. And I think, like you said, driving. Like I'm really excited about this Sprinter van thing at retirement because it's just like I'm gonna wake up one day. I'm like, you know what? Let's go to let's go to North Carolina for the week and just cop in and go. You don't have any if you if you don't have a job and you don't have much responsibilities, right? You can just do that
Yep.
and just kind of get lost in it. Maybe you're gone for a week, maybe you're gone for a month, maybe you're gone for 3 days, but you go with what you feel, and it just gives you the open range to do whatever you want and see wherever you want to go. So
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I hope that when the wife retires, I offered the van idea, and she kiboshed that real quick. But at least with a small camper, 16, 18-foot camper.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it'd just be the two of us and the dogs. So
right.
why not?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some videos of like I saw this girl once. She lived in her Jeep Wrangler for like 4 years. Like, it was crazy. Like, she had, like, the thing like, it had drawers, and, like, the back would come out, and she could make, like, a kitchen that the she slept, on the top of it. There was, like, a tent that kinda came out, and a
Okay.
ladder, but, yeah, I mean, it was, like it was I forget what the YouTube channel, but it was pretty cool. I'm like, "Well, if a girl can sleep in a Jeep Wrangler," which is what I drive, for a couple of years, I think my wife and I could handle a Sprinter van for a
You go.
couple
Now just
a
turn
month.
your Jeep Wrangler into an overlanding vehicle.
Right.
You're all set.
Just tr just, bring one of those, tow along, like, what do they call those? Those, like, mini trailers that you can basically sleep in and the kitchen's, like, on the outside.
Oh,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah,
seen
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
I
the little
forget-
overlanding. Yeah,
Yeah.
little overlanding trailers. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, she hates the Jeep though. It's not smooth on the four. So that's why I said the Sprinter van, most of them they're what are they made by Dodge and Mercedes, right? Are the two big ones.
Yeah, Dodge and
So
Mercedes are the big ones. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm sure they ride pretty smooth.
Well, I got to say, this has been an absolutely enjoyable conversation, and we're about at the hour mark. So I'd say we'll wrap. And any last words about vacations and ham radio, Todd?
No, you can't do too much ham. You can never do too much ham radio, and you can never go on too many vacations. So if I were you, go on vacation and bring your gear and have some fun.
And when you get back from vacation, take a vacation from the vacation.
Exactly. Number one rule. So if you're going away for a month, how long are you going to need to be on a vacation after that?
Oh, easily 2 months after. Yeah.
It's like-
So
it's like
it'll
every
be
week,
3
every
months.
week.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
3-month vacay. Right, I hear you.
If only I could pull that off. Well, I'll say thank you to everybody for joining the Live Free and Ham podcast community. And remember, if you haven't subscribed, what the hell you been waiting for? It's literally your invitation to subscribe. There are several ways to connect with the show. You can head over to our shop at livefreeandham.com/shop and pick up some merch. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts and every other major podcasting platform. Feel free to leave us a review on iTunes. You can support our show through Patreon and the Bias beer links. We do like scotch too, which are conveniently located in our show notes and on the website. And if you want to reach any of our hosts, all of our contact info is on livefreeandham.com. Thanks again for listening. And from all of us here at Live Free and Ham, 7-3.
7-3.